Use the scientific method. I've done that in the last, I can honestly say this whole fucking deal, the whole targeting deal and all this I have learned so much, and I have increased my wisdom and intelligence level, my knowledge level in the last 3 years more than I did in the prior fucking 20 years combined, probably. Probably easily. It's very, very easy to say that. I mean, I learned what I learned in school, and I learned some stuff in the military, and then whenever, I joined the workforce after the military, I learned quite a bit in a certain trade, and I learned a lot in construction trade when I did that. I worked in sales for quite a few years. I learned a lot about that. Everything I did, I excelled at, because I wouldn't settle for just being mediocre. I would have to tone it down to suck at something. You know what I mean? Like when you're running a race or something, and you just kind of slow down so that you can empower the other people, make them feel better about themselves. You don't want to just blow them out of the water, because then they'll have no motivation to even try again. You want to make it close to drive them, to help drive their ambition and their motivation to be better. They want to beat, maybe if they're close enough this time, maybe they think they can beat you next time. So you know what I mean? We got to help do that for each other. We really do. And I will say this about Nerve Gorilla. You absolutely put information out there to help people all the time. And I've told you this before, and I've said this about you before, Nerve Gorilla. You do that, and that's one thing I gotta respect about you, and I can't knock you for that. But what I can say is, dude, I don't bash you. I don't say mean things about you like you do to me. I came in and just asked you a simple question in your chat, and it was directly related to what you talk about in your videos every day, okay? Now, yes, I was being coy. Yes, I was, I was mind-fucking. Yes, I was asking the right questions, right? I was just seeing if you would do what you do to TIs every day, but do it to me, to some evidence in a video that I put out. I wanted to see if you would do that, because I knew that the way I can articulate it and talk about it, I only use the examples that they can't fucking discredit. They can't call crazy. That any rational-minded, level-headed, critical thinking person hears, my testimony and what I talk about, the shit that happens, is just going to be like, wow, he's there's something to what he's saying, There's so many things that I talk about that has happened to me that you can't deny. You just can't deny it. So instead of denying it, they don't. You can't deny it, so they don't deny it. They just avoid it like the plague. And that's what Nerve Gorilla does with me. He avoids me like the plague. I got in his voice chat the last time I did. We had a conversation, and it got to the point where I was just curious. I asked him what is he afraid of as far as being anonymous online. I'm just curious, like what could happen? What are you afraid of? But if you show your face and your name and stuff, what are you afraid is going to happen? What are you afraid of? He wouldn't answer it, but it was a genuine question. He's like, oh, fuck you, dude, blah, 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 blah. You don't do nothing. And I was like, dude, I'm serious. Like, what are you afraid of? If you show your face and name, it doesn't make any sense. If you tell me what you're afraid of, I can make sense of it. But, what are you afraid of happening? I didn't get it. So the only thing that I had left to determine that he's afraid of is getting in trouble because he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing. That's the only time that when there's no other explanation, right? And you ask the right questions, but you can't get the answer, right? Then, in my experience, it's because they're doing something wrong. Or it's something's not in my best interest or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I told my public defender when he was trying to rush me into taking this Veterans Deferral Program Court, Veterans Court. He wanted my military discharge papers, and he wouldn't give me his email before, right? Because I told him I wanted to be active part of my case every step of the way. Any information, any paper that was produced or passed to anybody, anything that was talked about my case, I wanted to know about it and be a part of it. And I told him that, and I said, asked if he had an email address at the beginning, and I said, I want to be notified, and I want to be of any information and be consulted about any decisions in my case. And he looked at me like who the fuck am I, right? Even though it's my case, my life. And I said, well, do you guys have an email address? Like, I don't expect you to call me every time something happens, but we can easily communicate through email. And he's like, no, they wouldn't give me an email address, right? So after I wouldn't take a deal, and he wanted the Veterans Court thing, I was like, oh, okay, well, he's like, give me your DD-214. And I said, well, do you have, how can I get it to you? Do you have it, can I email you? He's like, oh, yeah. Here, let me get you my email address real quick. He was real nice then. So once I got his email address, his public email address, and this is somebody who's a public servant, works for the court system. So everything that he does with that email address is public information, publicly accessible. He can no longer hide any communication that I have with him with that email address. That's all I needed. So I got that email. He wanted my military papers, but he wouldn't act on what I wanted. I said, do a discovery, a full discovery, and request the dash cams and body cams from when Dillhole tried to kill me, because he absolutely tried to kill me, and I needed the cameras to prove it. And I said, well, we need to request the dash cams and body cams because they didn't include it in the discovery packet. And he said to me, after a couple weeks, and I got the discovery and there was nothing in it, he said, well, I don't even know if Patton wears body cams. And I guess he didn't know that I had a video already of Dillhole with his body cam admitting that he only turns it on when he wants to turn it on. So it just, the way everything worked out, I got his email address and I went home and I waited like 3 days, and he emailed me and he bugged me, and he's like, hey, yeah, this is my email, get me that military paperwork so I can go ahead and get this going. And he was rushing me. And there was no rush. I didn't understand what the rush was. We had lots of time, lots of time. And I wanted to get the body cams, right? I wanted to make sure that the truth came out about Dillhole because he was dangerous, and I was afraid he was going to hurt somebody, dude. I was really afraid he was going to hurt somebody if it wasn't me. And if somebody got hurt or killed by him, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I felt like there was more I could have done. So I then emailed him, and he replied to his email. And I said, before I send my military paperwork, I just wanted to let you know, any time in my life that I was being rushed and for no reason and didn't make any sense, nobody would tell me why there's a rush. It was not in my best interest. The people didn't have my best interest in at hand. So I didn't send you my military papers yet. I didn't make a decision on that. But I did find this video of Dillhole to answer your question about the body cams. And I sent him the video. I literally sent him the video of Dillhole saying, oh, this is only on when I want it to be on. And then he can't delete that email or he gets fired. He gets in trouble. If these people, being a public servant, work for the court system, if they get caught deleting any communication through their cell phones while they're at work, if they take a picture and they delete it, and you can do a Freedom of Information Act request and prove that they deleted a picture that they took while they were working, that's against the law. That's absolutely against the law. They lose their job and they get criminally charged. So knowing that, when you're armed with this knowledge and these just little things, the truth, You see how powerful it really is. So just something so simple like that. I got his email. He didn't want to give me at first. And then I didn't do what he wanted me to do. Instead, I sent him the truth because it was the right thing to do anyway. Well, he didn't really like that. I never talked to that public defender again after that. He passed me on to the next one. And he still didn't do, because he had to, because if he would have continued to represent me, he would have had to have requested the body cam info, okay? Or get fired. You know what I mean? He obviously. So they just did that. They passed me along to each public defender one by one and did this to me. And whenever that happens, you have to ask yourself, what fucking team are they playing for? It's like why the hell wouldn't he want that information to come out? Why is he working so hard to keep that body cam from coming out? To keep that information from coming to light? Why would anybody who works for a criminal justice system to protect and serve us work go above and beyond to conceal a police officer committing not only crime, trying to kill me? And that's a huge risk to everybody's public safety, and that information should be out there for everybody to know in order for everybody to properly protect and serve themselves. Because you see what I'm saying? So instead of finding anybody protecting and serving anybody, all I saw was a bunch of fucking people who got paid to protect and serve, who actively put the public at risk. And that's all I seen them doing. It's everything that they did. That's all that I saw. Of course, you had criminals that got in trouble for doing stuff that they put people at risk by doing what they did, drunk driving, whatever. But I've seen so many people that get, charged and prosecuted for stuff that was totally unnecessary, that was not fucking a risk to anybody in the public safety, no victim. And the extent that these people all go to destroy that person's life is just unbelievable. And they all swore an oath to protect and serve, and that's supposed to be their job. And it's so fucking disturbing and disgusting when you see it. And of course you're going to have that. But when you see the truth of just how bad the problem is, they're all like that. I'm telling you, they're all, because that's the game. They all protect each other. They're in this special fireman super secret fucking boy band, man. I'm telling you. You back the blue until it happens to you. So, that's just the truth. And if you're watching this video right now and you're somebody who's never been in trouble, or maybe you had a different viewpoint or opinion than I have in this video, and you're watching this right now, if you have a different viewpoint or opinion, I can almost guarantee that it's because you either work in law enforcement, first responder, you work in that system, or somebody in your direct family does, so therefore you support them, or you've never been in trouble, okay, and you just believe the lie that cops are good and, first responders are our heroes, and that's it. They could never do no wrong. Anybody who has a different opinion than what I'm saying in this video right now, it's one of those two. I don't know anybody who's just a regular Joe Schmo who has been through the system, okay, for a fucking on some bullshit, who doesn't absolutely align with my views and opinions on the same thing. So when that happens, whenever you see every single person that's ever been through the system on some bullshit, why don't you ask yourself, what the truth is whenever every single one of them changes their viewpoint to this? Doesn't that spark your interest? Doesn't that make you curious as to what made them like that. It's not like they're just mad because they got in trouble. No, they're mad at because they were fucking violated. Because they're, you know what I mean? Because somebody went out of their way to fuck with their life. You know what I mean? I take accountability for my actions. And I understand 100% whenever I have to, I have to suffer certain consequences because of my actions, because I understand the gravity, and the risks involved if I do something that's wrong. I understand it 100%. But when there's something that just don't make any fucking sense, and the only thing you can come up with is that people just hate you or something, or people are greedy and they want money, or people are just fucking evil and they wanna hurt people. When you have no other explanation other than those things, then all you're left with is, the realization that there ain't nobody protecting and serving your ass. They're they're serving and protecting their interests and the interests of the system and the interests of the powers that be, because they know if they don't, they know what happens. You know what I mean? When they are the fucking perps, they know firsthand what they don't, what they don't want to become. They don't want to become the target. They've been doing it to people for how long already? They definitely don't want to get kicked out of the club, But there have been a lot of people who've gotten kicked out of the club, not necessarily for speaking out, but because these people are so quick to throw each other under the bus. It's not funny. They all have some dirt on each other, so that's what holds it all together. But when you're expendable, you're expendable. And that's the name of the game. Don't be the least expendable person, or whatever. Don't be the most. You need to have some value and some worth, or they just throw you away. They use you, and they have to blame somebody, right? Somebody has to go to jail, right? Oh, look at that! That cop got a bunch of child porn on his fucking computer. Look at that! What do you know? And you don't hear anything from that fucking cop. They shut that fucker up so quick. When there's one, they go all in balls to the walls, and they make sure to do. When they do it right. If they're gonna frame somebody, they frame them. They go all in, man. They fucking, and that's what targeting is. That's what they do to targets. I mean, anybody who doesn't know me in town, isn't that amazing? They've never talked to me, don't know me. But whenever they started targeting me, if you were to ask one of these people who I've never met in town, what they think of me or what they know about me, they would tell you that, I'm trouble, that I'm like, everybody has it in their head that I have like a criminal history, like some bad criminal record, and that's just not true at all. But they all are programmed to think that I'm the bad guy in town or something, that I'm some kind of horrible person. I've talked to people I've known my whole life that actually think this for some reason. I always ask them, what makes you think that? I ask them, because it doesn't make any sense. Everybody, fucks up, makes mistakes, and gets in trouble here and there, but they don't, act like this towards everybody. People, some people are normal. They make mistakes, and people don't label them, and those mistakes don't define them. But these little mistakes that get exaggerated or just made up, people just completely make up lies, and then they use these lies and stuff like that to define who I am in their own head, to define what they think of me. They judge me, when they've never met me, never talked to me, don't actually know the truth. And, it's crazy to me. It just, it is. A friend of mine in town here, our kids are the same age. She did this years ago. She argued with me, that I was a junkie and a heroin addict, and that one time, and I tried to tell her, I said, I've never stuck a needle in my arm in my life, and I never will. She says, oh, yeah, oh, come on, you know you were, right? And she sat here and argued with me up and down for like 10 minutes. She just wouldn't listen to me. She wouldn't believe me that I absolutely never fucking did heroin and stuck a needle in my arm in my life. I'm not a heroin addict. I've never been addicted to heroin. I have done heroin a couple times. And that was somebody, peer pressure, and it was just I snorted it. But it was never consecutive. It was just like 2 or 3 occasions in my life, a tiny little bit I did. And I didn't buy it. I didn't go out looking for it. I didn't sell, you know what I mean? It's just somebody's like, oh, here, you want some of this? And that was it. So I have no problem admitting my mistakes and admitting, my flaws and when I'm wrong. Most people, if they would never admit, oh, I've done heroin, you know what I mean? I don't fucking care. I don't care what people think. The truth is the truth, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, nope, I've never done it, because I have. But I will speak the truth. I've never stuck a needle in my arm in my life, and I never will. I think it's disgusting. I've never been addicted to heroin, okay? Years and years ago, I got prescribed pain medication, opiates, okay? And I got addicted to prescription pain medication years ago. And I was addicted for quite a few years. So, yes, I was addicted to pain pills years ago. And guess what? As soon as the first time I addressed it, I, all by myself, identified that I had a problem. I didn't want to live that way. And I fixed the problem. Boom. Never went back. Never even fucking craved it. Never even, you could have a handful of pain pills and try to hand them to me, and it wouldn't even interest me whatsoever. That is the extent of my fucking drug use. So it's just funny to me that that's it. And it's not even like that was like well known to everybody. Like, so that's why I don't understand why everybody thinks I'm some kind of fucking bad person or something. If you look at my fucking criminal record right now, my criminal history, the worst thing on my criminal record, I think I had a criminal trespass, okay? A misdemeanor, criminal trespass misdemeanor, from the Slow Walk Club. From when the Slow Walk Club banned me for life, I went back a couple months later, right, on my birthday, because I was fucking co-captain of the pool team for 10 years for this place, okay? So I figured I'd let it blow off. A couple months later, I went in on my birthday, and I was drunk. And I went up to the bartender, and I said, well, I just want to see if I figured I'd try. Can't blame the guy for trying. I figured I'd see if I could get my birthday beer, And the bartender, Jamie, said, no, you can't be here. And I said, all right, I'm easygoing. But this perp, Rory Coretti, felt the need to inject himself in the situation for, I don't know why, because he's a fucking perp, he's an asshole, he couldn't mind his own business. He comes up and sits down next to me and gets all aggressive. He's like, what are you doing here? You can't be in here. So naturally, I'm going to, I was getting up and leaving until that happened. So naturally, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, Rory. Well, I don't know who you are to tell me that, but you better do something about that then. If I can't be in here, what are you going to do about it? What do you think happens when you, when you go up and try to fucking be a tough guy to somebody? I'm a nice guy, easy guy to get along with, but don't fucking test me. Don't come up and poke the bear to try to piss him off. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that turned into, they actually had to physically remove me from the property, like literally physically drag me out the door. Because I told Rory, I said, well, no, you have to do it, Rory. I said, come on, let's come on, go, you take me outside, let's go, come on, buddy, come on. And he wouldn't do it. He's a fucking pussy. Wouldn't do it. So him and then 3 other guys literally physically removed me. He was behind them all. He stayed back out of arm's reach, right behind them all, running his fucking mouth the whole time. And they physically threw me out the door, right? So I went home. I was drunk. It was my birthday. I grabbed another beer. And I walked back to the Slow Walk Club. Okay, so I know, bad choices. I shouldn't have done this. Believe me, I understand that what I did was wrong. I shouldn't have done it, but I took accountability. But I went up to the side door of the Slowball Club, and I opened the side door up, walked in, and I said, "Hey, Rory, I'm back." I said, "You ready to go outside yet?" Real nice, I'm not a mean guy. I did it in such a nice way. I just asked if he was ready to go outside. So what they did then was the other guy got behind me, and he shut the door behind me and deadbolted it, and they locked me in the bar. And they said, "Well, that's it. You're locked in now until the cops come." So guess what? I sat down and got to drink my birthday beer on my birthday in the Slowball Club. So it didn't bother me. I said, "Well, cool. I get to drink my birthday beer then." And then I got a ride home. The cop came, like 10 minutes later. He opened the door and said, "Oh, hey." I said, "Oh, you're my ride's here." And it was fucking funny. I laughed about it, and so did he. He laughed about it too. He took me down the station, fucking just, rolled his eyes as he told me, what's probably going to happen. And he asked me if I punched Rory Coretti, because apparently Rory told him that I hit him. Oh, and somebody either planted a knife in the parking lot and then tried to lie and say that I tried to, they said that I tried to fucking stab them or something. Right? They told the cop this. So I do believe that somebody sacrificed a knife and then said that I tried to stab somebody. Like, they literally made this up. It was a nice buck knife this cop showed me. He's like, "Oh, is this yours?" I said, "No, it ain't my fucking knife." I pulled mine out. I had a little tiny pocket knife I keep. I said, "Here's my knife," And he's like, "Well, they said that you dropped this in the parking lot, that you were threatening to stab him or something." And he's like, "Did you hit Rory?" I said, "Well, why? Did he say I did?" He's like, "Well, he said you punched him in the face." I said, "Is there a mark on his face?" He said, "Well, no." I said, "Okay, yeah." You know what I mean? They physically removed me, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure I fucking got one in. But I definitely didn't try to stab anybody. Why would I try to stab somebody? There's 4 people. That's not me, sorry. That's not my MO. I would never fucking try to stab somebody. I'm not a coward. I'm the one that was calling him outside. You gotta look at the whole situation and identify who the coward is. That's Rory Coretti. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, this perp, Rory Coretti, was just gangstalking me at the Dollar General, and I have a recording of it. But before I show you that, that happened. I got banned. So I was already banned for life from the Slowball Club, and that was actually to shut me up, to silence me, because I caught them stealing my money from the gambling. I won the signups on this one board as like a ticket thing, and the 2 people that handled the gambling, all these extra signups, that I was promised that I would get this money if I finished this game out, and I finished the game out, and then they told me no, that I couldn't get the money. That's the whole reason I spent all my money to do it. They told me no, I couldn't get this money, right? And literally, George Pasterko and Pauline Albright, okay? She was the treasurer for the Slowball Club. She was a hired person, not a elected official. She was not elected to the treasurer. She was appointed as the treasurer. So she handled all the money and all the gambling. She did the books, right? And I never had a problem with her before, but she's in with the fire department. Her daughter is an EMT, okay? It just so happens that her daughter dated my cousin, and when they broke up, they did these same tactics to him. They painted him as this horrible fucking person. They put him on the news and said that he tried to kidnap her and everything else. And there was a state cops. There was like a manhunt for him for a couple of days, because all he did was go to her house and he didn't get along with the parents, Pauline, obviously. So he said to Stacy, he said, come on. And he said, why don't you, let's go. We can run away, or, run away with me. He was in her house when she got home from school. She was a teenager, and he was like 2 or 3 years older. She said no, and he left. He didn't try to kidnap her. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they said. They called the cops and said that he got charged with breaking and entering, attempted whatever, abduction and shit, because she was 16. Oh yeah, they made a big news story out of it and everything else. But that's what these people do, okay? Now, I get along with Stacy Albright to this day. Well, in person, I don't know what she really thinks of me. I know what she really thinks of my cousin, but her mother, though, okay, they have to keep these gambling boards for the whole year. They have to keep them in case they get audited. So the proof is right there in the board, okay? I played the board out. All of the windows that got pulled at the end, that people threw away tickets that were actually windows for money. But when that happens, the club sold all their tickets, so they got all their money, okay? Whoever the unfortunate people were that threw the tickets away, there's no way to identify them or get them any money. There's no way to figure out who it was or whatever, or what, So that's why I played the game out, because there was a bunch of windows left with guaranteed money under these windows, but there was only so many tickets left, and I found it hard to believe that all of these windows would still be in this small group of tickets. So I specifically said, okay, so if I play this whole game off and these tickets, these windows aren't in this jug, then I'll still get the money for all of these windows that are missing, right? And they checked and they said, well, yeah, if you play it off, yeah, you'll get all the windows because we got all our money. We sold all the tickets, right? So, you know what I mean? It's not even a very good opportunity to rip somebody off. I openly asked the question. And there's the board. It all speaks for itself. And I spent like $150 to play this game out, because in the end, it would be like 250 in winnings altogether, something like that. But whenever it was over, I got the final seal because, last sale or whatever, you get so much for that and whatever signups. But then I was still down money. Like, I spent money to do this, and I needed those other windows to actually get any kind of profit. That's why I spent my money to do this. And the bartender said she had to wait until she talked to the person in charge of the gambling, just to make sure to finish a game out, because they were missing these windows, right? So the next day when I come in, they told me no, that I wouldn't get those windows. And I said, what the fuck? What do you mean I wouldn't get them? What do you mean? They weren't in there. You guys got paid for your game. You sold all your tickets. So who gets that money then? I said, because there's money there. There's extra money there. I said, what do you mean I don't get it? Who gets that money then? Yeah, well, and they just said, oh, nope, it don't work like that. We can't pay you because they weren't in there. They said they made it up. And I made a big stink about it. I took a picture of the board, and every day I went in there and I asked Pauline about it, and I said, she just blew it off and gave me the runaround every time I asked her. She said, oh, well, I don't know. I have to talk to so-and-so, whatever. We have to do something with the gaming commission. Just a fucking stupid bullshit story. They spun me like a top every time. So I brought it up every time I saw her. Till George Pasterko came up to me one day, and he literally said, here, okay, they owed me $125. George Pasterko handed me $60, like on the down low. And he said, here's $60, $60 if you keep quiet. $60 if you shut up about it, right? I said, all right. I took $60, put it in my pocket, and I shut up about it that day. And then whenever I wasn't in there and I wasn't around George, because he's a nice guy, I felt bad for George. I really did feel bad for George. He just kind of got caught up. It wasn't his decision to not pay me. It was Pauline's, but they split the money. So he gave me his half. He gave, you know what I mean? He didn't take any money from me. He gave me $60. that was his half of my money that him and Pauline took from me, you know? So he gave it back to me, basically. But he was still involved and in charge of the gambling. So he still ended up looking like it didn't look good for him. But I didn't shut up about it. The next day I said, no, they robbed me. And then they paid me off my own money, half my own money, to shut my mouth about it. And I told more people about it. So one day I go in there and I get a letter that said, I'm banned for the club, just for the good of the club. That's it. I'm banned for life for the good of the club. No reason, no argument. I didn't get to, no democracy, no pleading my case. I just got railroaded. That was it. That's why I got banned from the Slovak Club, because I exposed a fucking thief, right? But this particular thief, they have their hands in everything, and they're part of the Fireman Super Secret Boy Band, you see. And you know what's even worse right now? Pauline Albright, the thief that never did pay me my $60, she is now the tax lady for Patton. Yeah, she just became the tax lady. So she's in charge of everybody's taxes in Patton. Yeah, doesn't that make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside? The story I just told you about it? That's absolutely 100% true. I swear on my kids, okay? Why? I have no reason to make that up. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to fucking make up an elaborate, fucking detailed, drawn-out story like that anyway. That absolutely fucking happened 100%. If they have the records, you can look back at the fucking gaming board. It was like 2015 when they did this, towards the end of the year, like this time of year, actually, and something like that. And it was a board where the windows were pull balls. So there was like 15 windows, 1 through 15. They were billiards balls, billiards pool balls. That's what the game was. I forget what it was called, and I don't still have the picture of the game, but I swear to God, 100%. Same thing happened at the Legion in Patton. I caught the bar steward just through a series of events. The way I asked the right questions and the way everything worked out, I found out without a doubt that the bar steward was not only trying to rip me off for $250, but she trained the new bartender. He just started 2 weeks before that, and he was involved in the scheme. And just the way things worked out, it was determined. It was obvious and undeniable that she was embezzling money and robbing people from the sign-ups. If you had a sign-up and you weren't there when your number got pulled, they would just keep your money and not write your name on the board. And they were all in on it. Because the new kid that just started there, that spent the week before that getting trained on the gambling every day, for the whole week prior to that, he was... So the fact that I brought it up to the bar steward and told her, because I didn't know if the new guy was like a thief. And I said, I don't know if he was trying to rip me off, but I asked him who won that sign-up board, and he said he wasn't sure, but he knew it wasn't me, and my name wasn't on the board. So the next person came in, I asked them who won that particular game. She said, I'm not sure who else won, but I know you did, she said. I finished it last night, and I know you won. And that's how that happened. And so the bartender lied to me, and then he never said a word to me. He was at the other end of the bar. Next thing you know, he brings down a clear Ziploc baggie, okay, with $250 in it. No Post-it note, no name, no envelope, just a random clear sandwich baggie with $250 in it, and the book to sign your name when they pay out a winner. And he just sets it in front of me and gives me the money. Normally, you would have a envelope with your name on it. Your name would be on the board to notify you, or there would be a Post-it note or something attached to the money to tell the bartender whose money that was. So that didn't exist. So the next time I seen the bar steward, I told her about it. I said, hey, I don't know if he was trying to rip me off or not, but this is what happened last night. Okay. And I told the bar steward this. I did the right thing, right? Because I was a loyal patron of the American Legion, being a veteran from the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. I was a member there for a long time. I shot on the pole team for a long time. My girlfriend was the bartender there, right? So the bar steward, I told her about this, and that was the end of it. Then the next day, she got back to me with a response, a reply. And she could have just said, okay, thanks for telling me, and that would have been the end of it. But the next day she came up and she said, oh, by the way, there's no conspiracy, there's no scandal, she said. I didn't put your name on the board because I didn't want to hear Carol Coover bitching about every time you win. And I'm like scratching my head. I was like, wait, what? Oh, so she was the one that was working when they finished the game out. So there was no getting out of that. I didn't even ask. She told on herself, okay? But because she did that, that told me everything I need to know. That told me without a doubt, unequivocally, that she was involved, that she had to have trained the new kid, Damien, how to rip people off. And I was a very avid gambler, and I was in there every day. I was a regular gambler. If they were willing to do that to me, just imagine all the people that win that aren't regulars, that would rely on their name being on the board to even know that they won or to collect their money. Imagine how much money she was doing this, how many people she was doing it to. I don't know how many times they may have done it to me in the past before that. But that happened. Now, I shut my mouth when she told me there's no scandal. I said, oh, okay, I don't know. I just was letting you know. I don't know. I played dumb. But anytime I seen anybody playing those games where you rely on getting a sign up on the board, I would pull them aside and I would tell them the story of what happened to me. I would say, if I were you, I wouldn't play those games because I don't play them anymore because this happened. I didn't say that they ripped me off. I just told the story. I mean, you don't have to say that they ripped you off. The story speaks for itself. After about 2 months of warning people, not to waste their money because Shannon Shiro was just going to fucking embezzle and steal from them like she tried to do to me. I walk in one day and I get a letter that says that I'm banned from the Legion for life because I was dealing drugs on this certain date and time, it says. I thought it was a joke. And it says on behalf of the trustees. So that means that the trustees had to have got together, had a conversation about it, and came to the agreement to give me this letter and kick me out, according to the letter that Shannon handed me, right? And it was absolute bullshit. I had the ability to prove that it was wrong. Because the funny thing was, they said that I was dealing drugs with crazy Carla. Carla's the one that just mysteriously died in my building at the Terrace Apartments. Yeah. Well, the night in question was at the Legion. It was the bar crawl. Okay, so the Patton bar crawl, every bar gets an hour. And everybody in Patton goes from bar to bar to bar all together. They do the bar crawl in Patton. It was literally the Legion's hour. Okay, so it was packed, 2 to 3 people deep at the bar, up at the bar. So, really packed. So they had somebody at the door, signing people in, because if you're not a member, you have to sign people in. And it happened to be Shannon's mother, okay, who I got along with great. So Shannon's mother was hanging out, and I talked to her like a normal person. She's cool. Carla comes in, right? And I'm right there talking to the doorman, talking to the person at the door, okay? And Carla says to me, I'm the first person she runs into by the door. She's like, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy any Xanax? I'm like, no, Carla, sorry, I can't help you there. And then she's looking for another person in particular, right, that's supposed to buy these Xanax. And she left and moved on to the next person, and she went on to bug like fucking half a dozen people in that bar, went from one end of the bar to the other, asking everybody if they wanted to buy Xanax. And I continued the conversation with Shannon's mother at the door, right, who's an employee. And I said, that's fucking crazy how stupid people are that come in here and openly try to sell drugs in the bar. I was like, how stupid can you be? Then next thing you know, my buddy, who's at the other end of the bar, comes up to us and joins the conversation. He's like, you never guess what Carla just asked me. I said, she asked you to buy Xanax, right? And he's like, yeah, what the fuck is wrong with her? So that's how that went. So at that point, I didn't feel the need to inform a staff member that Carla was trying to sell drugs, because I was literally talking to a staff member, to the door, the person at the door, who happened to be Shannon's mother. Okay, so that was proof. The way everything worked out, like, they make up these lies and they don't even look into it first. They just lie and don't think about, be getting caught in their lie. All she was worried about was the truth coming out that she's a fucking thief and she was embezzling money from people, ripping people off. She was worried about that coming out. So she wrote that letter. The trustees knew nothing about it. She wrote that letter herself and gave it to me just to try to get me out of there. And then she never had to say anything to the trustees. They didn't have to kick me out. She just tried to make me believe that I was banned for life. So it said at the end of the letter, it said that I'm not allowed on the property, and if I step on the property, the cops will be called. So I went right to the president, and he even acknowledged that it was a mistake, and I just had to wait. Commander Carl. It was a mistake, and I had to wait for Shannon to get off vacation so that he can clear it up and I can be allowed back in. And then he ghosted me, right? And I said, well, I said, are you gonna call the cops on me if I show up at the meeting? I said. And instead of answering me, he said, oh, you just need to go to Don Yeckley's house and knock on his door. Don Yeckley is one of the trustees, but he has Don Yeckley in his pocket, they vote together. So I just repeated my question. I said, are you going to call the cops on me if I show up at the meeting? Because at this point I know that I have a right to defend myself. And he said, no, don't come to me. You just need to go knock on Don Yeckley's door. Just go talk to Don. Just talk to Don. And I'm like, Carl, if I show up at the meeting, are you going to call the cops on me? He wouldn't answer me. And it was weird, okay? So if that letter was legit, he could have just said, yeah, He didn't even know about the letter. He literally read it when I had this conversation with him. He said, oh, can I see the letter? And I handed it to him, and he read it right there in the vets the next Monday night while he was shooting pool league at the vets. So 2 weeks went by, and he ignored my texts. Because Shannon got back, 2 days later, and they ignored me, right? And meanwhile, they changed the meeting time last minute, so I couldn't even, I missed the meeting because they changed the time and date, and I saw him 2 weeks later in the vets again, pool league, and I said, Carl, what the hell happened? I said, it's been 2 weeks, did you get that figured out yet? I'd like to go. I have poll coming up, and I shoot for the Legion. And he said, oh, yeah, well, we had a meeting about it, and they just ended up, we just voted on it, and they ended up voting you out, he said. They ended up just voting you out. I said, what? What are you talking about? They just voted me out. He said, you said it was, you just had to talk to Shannon to clear it up. What do you mean they voted me out? Well, you've had problems in the past, and they just looked at the whole situation, like because of your past incidents, which were absolute bullshit as well. He just made them up because of your past incidents, and they didn't even want to take any risk, and they just voted you out. And I said, okay, so now if I go to the meeting, because now I'm voted out by the trustees. Okay, for whatever reason he told them, who God knows what they told him now. Now him and his dad, her and her dad, are working together in collaboration to lie and cover up their fucking criminal activity and their fucking thievery, right? But I'm the guy that has to be discredited. I'm the one that gets smeared. in order for them to be successful covering up their wrongdoings. So I had an ace in the hole. My ex-girlfriend was the bartender. So every month, they kept changing the meeting times and dates. But my ex-girlfriend would let me know. Every time they changed that date, she would send me a picture of it. And she'd be like, hey, heads up, they changed the date again. I went to the next 3 meetings. And the next 3 meetings in a row, they didn't have enough people show up, enough of the trustees to show up to even have a vote on anything. But they would vote for each other. So one trustee would literally get a note from 2 other trustees. So he had 3 votes. And another one did the same thing. So they would vote on stuff, right, by proxy, okay? That's how they voted me out. I guess I found out later on. They voted me out through proxy votes, okay? So really, Don Yeckley and Regis, I think, were the 2 people that just voted me out, but they had together, or whatever, 2 people ended up with fucking 5 or 6 votes. So it was like 3 months later, and I go to the meeting, and they have a conversation, wouldn't allow me to be part of the conversation. Then whenever, come here, Lola, just come here, you're fine, come here, you're good, come here, Lola, she's stuck. So whenever it's meeting time, they put me outside the room, and then they called me in whenever it was my turn to be part of the conversation, after they did whatever behind closed doors. And Don Yeckley started asking me questions, and they directed it, and they orchestrated this conversation so that by my answer, right, I started telling what happened, and I said about this letter that they didn't even know existed, right? As soon as I said about this letter, he said, well, what letter? We just voted you out. There's no letter. So then I had to start explaining this letter in my conversation with Carl. And as soon as I said Carl's name, he yells out, you fucking liar. You lying right through your fucking teeth, he says. And he's not even supposed to be speaking. He's a president. He's not a trustee. He's not even supposed to be part of the conversation at all. He keeps interrupting me and yelling out things as I'm trying to tell the truth of what happened. I tried to show the text messages. Before I could even show the text messages, I said, what do you mean, Carl? You literally texted me and said everything was cool. You had to talk to Shannon. Then you ignored me for 2 weeks. I said, you read the letter in the vest. Bullshit, I never fucking read no letter. You're just a liar. Then Don Yeckley says, all right, that's enough. They got loud. That gave him the ability to just say, oh, okay, stop, right? And he said, we're just gonna vote on it, he said. To vote to see if I'm allowed back in, okay? So I go out of the room, and they come out a couple minutes later, and he's like, well, we voted, and it ended up the vote was 5-4 on no. Back in 5-4. So 4 people said yes, because they wanted to hear the truth. Nobody got to hear the truth. But 5 people, they rallied these people that didn't even know the truth. They just voted because they're all fucking firemen, super secret boy band, voted together. So they were protecting the truth that Shannon was ripping people off. They didn't want that coming out, so they had to keep me out of there. And I would never get to tell anybody if I was banned from the Legion. So there I am, banned from the Slovak Club, banned from the Legion, and both of them for exposing corruption, okay? Then the pub, the bar in town, I was down there one night, and I was just innocent. Somebody tackled me by the pool table, so we both got kicked out. I didn't even throw a punch. I go back in to get my coat, and my brother Ed grabs a hold of me and tries to drag me outside. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing? I was like, I don't understand what your problem is. I said, what? I said, if it was the other way around, I would have had your back. I said, I would have been on him like a fly on shit if somebody tackled you. And he says, well, I don't even know what you guys were fighting about. And by this point, we're outside. So when we were outside, he said that, and he's going out of his way to throw me out, and he don't even know what we were fighting about. That pissed me off, and I punched him in the eye and gave him a black eye in the parking lot, just the two of us. But I get banned for life from the pub for punching my brother in the parking lot outside. Okay? So there's 3 bars in town I'm banned for life. Only one of them is for any actual legitimate truth. And that's bullshit. People get in fights in there all the time. They're not banned for life. And nobody gets banned or kicked out when they get in a fight in the parking lot. So I'm the only one. So that is everything I just mentioned to you is the honest to God 100% truth. I swear on my children. And if you don't believe me, I dare anybody to question it. Let's question it. Let's bring it up. Let's talk to people in Patton and find out what the truth is if you think I'm a liar. I dare you. I would love for everybody in Patton to hear all of this truth. And Rory Coretti, come here, Lola. Rory Coretti, to get back to him, I didn't go to the bar for like 3 years after COVID and my targeting. I didn't go to the bar. There's nothing there for me at the bar. But I am a member of these clubs, right? So I kept paying my dues at the clubs. And every once in a while I would go to the Eagles, to the Sons of Italy, to the Vets, to the Moose, these are all clubs I'm still allowed in. You literally have the Vets, the Sons of Italy, the Eagles, the Moose, and there's, what did I mention that? There's 1, 2, it's 3 of them I'm a member of. Okay, the Vets, the Eagles, and the Sons of Italy. 2 of the clubs I got kicked out of. The Moose I'm not a member of, but never got kicked out of. So anyway, I go to the Eagles one day, and Rory Coretti and Don Kirkpatrick are at the bar, and it's like midnight. And as soon as I walk in, they start talking to the bartender. I haven't been in a bar in 2 years, right? And by the time I get up to the bar, I realize what they're telling the bartender. They're trying to tell the bartender that I'm not allowed in the Eagles. That I'm kicked out of there, that I'm banned from the Eagles for life. They're trying to tell the bartender. And the bartender's like, no, he's not. He's a member here. So they literally just tried to lie through their teeth to the bartender and say that I'm kicked out of the Eagles. You know what I mean? Because these perps do not want me speaking out in public to anybody because they know the perps are afraid of being exposed. And they know what the fuck they did. And I'm very talkative. And if I start going back out to the bar talking to people, well, then it's inevitable that the truth will come out. People who have been lied to will end up finding out the truth. And the perpetrators, the patent perpetrators in the Super Secret Boy Band will be exposed for the pieces of shit, lying, gang-stalking pieces of shit that they are. And that is what will happen if I start going to the bars. So that's why Rory Coretti tells the bartender, after he tried to tell her I was banned from the Eagles, then he tried to say that I tried to stab him. That I pulled a knife on him and tried to stab him. And he gets all loud and says, oh yeah, you remember at the Slovo Club years ago when you tried to stab me, you pulled a knife on me? I said, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Because I had talked to Rory since that happened, since that incident happened at the Slovak, several times. Like we were, and it was weird to me that he just now is making up this lie now. Like, so it was really obvious they do not want me going out in public and talking to people. Just the perps, Like Rory, at that point, I don't understand. He could just shut his mouth and sit back. I don't understand what he even has to protect. He's just a dick. Like, he doesn't have anything to protect, but he's part of the fucking club. He's part of the group, right? So he's going to go out of his way and make up lies in public. He got himself kicked out that night just for doing that. Because he then got up and came over to me and stood above my bar stool, tried to intimidate me like he's going to fight. And he's like, I think it's best if you just leave and get out of here. I said, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. It's simply pretty much especially because you're trying to tell me to. Yeah, that ain't going to happen, buddy. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. And I sat my beer down and I stood up. And you want to do something, be tough? Here I am. I'm not going to stand down. I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be fucking, I'm not a bitch, you know? I'm not a scared bitch, and I certainly ain't afraid of fucking Rory Coretti. So that's the truth of it right there. And if me and Rory ever end up in a fucking back alley somewhere, just the two of us, I'm sure we're gonna have a fist fight. I can almost guarantee it, unless he's too much of a pussy, you know, and he runs from me. Lola, come here. Look, just walk down, Lola. Just step down. Look, you got up there, you can get back down. Come here. So anyway, that's what I wanted to end it with. I just wanted to tell the truth. About that little incident with Rory Coretti, because just the other day, this happened. Yeah, what are the chances that this plane be flying directly over my head? That's the plane. Look, it's no consequence or coincidence that Rory Coretti has a one headlight on his truck. He's following me. That's funny. I mean, perps have the fucking one headlight, yo. Rory Coretti's a perp, without a doubt. And I don't think it's any coincidence that that he was at the dollar store right when I was, and he got right behind me, and he had one fucking headlight. I mean, come on. Be good or be good at it. So